Welcome to Matters Financial and Geopolitical from a Frontier. Thank you as always for stopping by. I did a very interesting interview with a gentleman called Praveen Kumar, Vijay Kumar, prefers to be called Praveen, who's the Chief Executive Officer and founder of Belfrix. And they provide platforms to trade cryptocurrency, exploring blockchain opportunities, and it was interesting to get a perspective from somebody who's a practitioner in that space. And do have a listen. It's the first link on Rich Wrap-Ups and it's on the front page of the website as well. Home Thoughts. This caught my attention by James Baldwin. Whatever you describe to another person is also a revelation of who you are and who you think you are. You cannot describe anything without betraying your point of view, your aspirations, your fears, your hopes, everything, said James Baldwin. Nahab, who I follow on Twitter, says, I believe we're not the body we possess. We are an energy. We are the thoughts we possess. Everything, every word, every action is manifestation of our thoughts. Thought is the only action. Everything else is the projection of that thought. And my mum, who's passed away many years ago, always used to say visualize, and I suppose that's that, isn't it? Think, and that those positive thoughts will make things happen. I suppose ties up with what we had to say. Amur leopard population triples to 103. Just a few years ago, the Amur leopard, Panthera pardus orientalis, appeared to be on the fast track to extinction. Surveys conducted in 2000 revealed that only about 30 of these critically endangered big cats remained in the forests of southwestern Russia, with just 2 more across the border in China. With poaching and habitat loss still so rampant at the time, saving the species appeared to be a mission impossible, says ecologist Yuri Darman, senior advisor to the World Wildlife Fund Russia's Amur branch. And now saying significant efforts have paid off. Land of the Leopard National Park announced this month that the population of Amur leopards within its borders has increased to 84 adults and 19 cubs or adolescents. This is a dramatic increase over the 57 leopards counted in the national park in 2015. Darman points out that the subspecies was at the edge of extinction. Of course, Amur leopards aren't completely out of the woods. They're only one of the world's most endangered big cats. Only Iran's Asiatic cheetahs, with a population of just 50, are rarer in the wild today. This is a photograph of a leopard that I took in the Samburu National Park many years ago. One of my favorite books is The Leopard by Giuseppe di Lampedusa, Il Gottardo. Is a novel by Giuseppe Tomasi di Lampedusa that chronicles the changes in Sicilian life and society during the Risorgimento. It became the top-selling novel in Italian history and is considered one of the most important novels in modern Italian literature. It's beautiful, it's lyrical, it's amazing. Principal players are His Excellency Prince Fabrizio Cellina, an excellent horseman, a tireless shot, and a fair womanizer, and the prince's family circle, the actual story, bearing in mind Tolstoy's maxim that no plot should be too complex to explain to a barmaid, is straightforward enough. And finally, a photograph of a leopard in the grass in Lewa. Political reflections. Here is Friday's schedule for the historic summit between North Korea's Kim Jong-un and South Korea's Moon Jae-in, which will happen at 9:30 a.m. on Friday Seoul time at the military demarcation line that divides the two nations. Expectations are high that the summit, the first between the leaders of the two Koreas in 11 years, will yield some kind of agreement. This could be in the form of a peace declaration, a statement on nuclear disarmament, or a plan to withdraw troops from the heavily fortified border area. Then a very interesting report on Reuters, Understanding Kim inside the US effort to profile the secretive North Korean leader. US intelligence experts are trying to build a profile of Kim Jong-un to give President Donald Trump a competitive edge in one of the most consequential summits since the Cold War, but they face a huge challenge figuring out a secretive North Korean ruler few people know much about. Pompeo, Trump's pick to become Secretary of State, came back from Pyongyang privately describing the young North Korean leader as a smart guy who's doing his homework for these meetings. Indeed he is. The emerging US consensus on Kim is similar to what many outside experts have publicly concluded. He is seen as a rational actor, said US officials, and in fact most actors have proven to be rational, including Saddam and Gaddafi, not the total nut job that Trump once branded him. North Korea's leadership was one of the hardest collection components out there for intelligence gathering. I remain unconvinced that the US and its partners can offer Kim sufficient guarantees in the event he denuclearizes. And that's what Asia Times has picked up on in an article, No Sign Yet. Kim really intends to denuclearize. And I wrote in September last year, front and center in Kim's mind must be the image of Saddam Hussein being hung by his neck, and of Muammar Gaddafi meeting his death. Take a look at Kim Jong-un's visit to China. It's a 40-minute documentary by North Korea's Central TV, and it really gives you insights into him, I think. 12th of February this year, I said North Korea is the buffer state between China and more than 30,000 US soldiers parked on their doorstep in South Korea. I was referencing the visit by Kim's sister and quoting Lao Tzu, water is fluid, soft and yielding, but water will wear away rock, which is rigid and cannot yield. As a rule, whatever is fluid, soft and yielding will overcome whatever is rigid and hard. This is another paradox. What is soft is strong. I was then thinking that South Korea was going to be peeled off, and that going by his puppy dog smiles, President Moon River will be in Pyongyang before you can pronounce Kim Yo-jong correctly. I was saying then Russia always had their back. China was never interested in bringing him to heel. After all, he is the buffer state between China and more than 30,000 US soldiers parked on their doorstep in South Korea. September 2017, writing again about Korea. At that time he was testing his various rockets, and I was quoting A Screaming Comes Across the Sky, Gravity's Rainbows, a 1973 novel by Thomas Pynchon, which is about the design, the production and dispatch of V-2 rockets by the German military. In particular, it features the quest undertaken by several characters to uncover the secret of a mysterious device named the Schwarzgerät, the black device, slated to be installed in a rocket with the serial number 00000. As the world watches, I was saying I cannot help wondering if Kim Jong-un has read Pynchon when he speaks of a screaming coming across the sky. And it is a curve each of them feels unmistakably. It is the parabola they must have guessed, once or twice guessed, and refused to believe that everything, always collectively, had been moving toward that purified shape latent in the sky, that shape of no surprise, no second chance, no return. And then in November 2010, I wrote a piece of It Starts Far Away in Distant Lands Lies the Hermit Kingdom. I was saying they've all had tiny little hands, like the elves and the shoemaker. Departing Mogadishu after an eventful, fascinating trip was a tweet from Rob Malley. And he's saying, as I find out, you can leave the Middle East, but it won't leave you. All the talk is about the damaging impact of the UAE-Qatari rift. And I was talking to my presentation this week about the spillover from the Middle East of the risks that we've seen into the Horn of Africa. Therefore, all the talk about the S-300s will mostly remain just that talk, because they're unlikely to affect any of the prevailing battle space dynamics. This is Andrew Korybiko writing about this idea that the Russians are finally going to deliver S-300s to the Syrian government, poo-pooing that idea essentially. The US 10-year yield closes above 3%. Have a look at this chart from JS Blockland. Go back to the article I wrote in September 2016 about mirrors on the ceiling, the pink champagne on ice. And I was referencing just this kind of move in the bond market. US 2-year yields at 2008 highs are scarier than a 3% for 10-year paper, says Holger. And the 10-year actually rose to 3.035%, the highest since January 2014. Break above 3.041%, and it's in territory last visited in 2011. Let's move on to the currency markets. Euro dollar below 122, 121.78, dollar index 91.10, Japanese yen 109.33. That softened up quite a bit now because of the yield differential. Swiss franc 0.9820, the pound 139.25, the Australian dollar 0.7560, India rupee softening up, heading towards a record low 66.775. South Korean won 1079.69, Brazilian real 3.482, Egyptian pound 17.7006, and the rand, which blew well over 12, it's last at 12.3747. I think we average down, try and get our average to about 12.30, keep on buying at these sorts of levels. Dollar short squeeze gathers momentum after benchmark treasury yield tops 3%, that's Olga. A dollar squeeze is a major risk to longs, including emerging markets, crude oil, the Nasdaq, the euro, the yen, and industrial metals. This is a dollar index chart from T Commodity. I'm still long with my 88 stock. We're now above 91. Euro dollar, this is a 3-month chart, last trading at 121.73. It feels like it wants to take a look at sub 120. 2nd of January, one of my trades of the year was Twitter. I said I prefer to look for opportunities below the headline FANG stocks. I like Twitter at $24. Twitter surged in pre-market trading as first quarter revenue topped estimates, got as high as $34. Facebook first quarter monthly active users 2.20 billion versus 2.198 billion previously. The number of daily users rose 12.9% in the first quarter from a year earlier. That's slowing down, but given the sheer scale, they've got 2.2 billion users. You're never going to be able to grow continuously at those very high double-digit rates. Facebook extended its gain in after hours following a bullish call. So I still think that they're in this sort of existential crisis, and it's not possible to continue conducting business in the way they're doing, and I don't think they've actually reached the point of that epiphany. The VIX has recovered and stayed at post-crisis average levels. This is David Inglis. Commodity markets, oil prices rise as Macron said he believes Trump will pull out of the nuclear deal, then will certainly go higher still. Chart of the day, exports of US crude and oil refined products surged last week to a record high above 8.3 million barrels per day, up 450% in a decade. That's from Javier Blas. Gold, it's all about dollar strength. It's weighing on the gold price last at 1322.60. Sub-Saharan Africa, 4 mass graves have been discovered in Rwanda 24 years after the genocide. But this is the interesting point. The location of the site, which was reportedly identified to workers by a local woman, has raised questions about how long its existence has been known to local residents. Many of those convicted of perpetrating atrocities during the genocide have now been released, but they are doing little to reveal the whereabouts of our loved ones. Ethiopia, the Prime Minister continues his country tour. In this photograph, he's seen in Hawassa city. The business community was very disappointed with some comments he made at a dinner with them in Addis Ababa a few days ago, where he sort of spoke about very little change from the developmental economy structure that currently is in play in Ethiopia. Exclusive weapons stolen from UAE training facility in Somalia sold on the open market. That's Reuters Africa. At least 600 weapons were stolen in the past week from a former UAE-run training center in Mogadishu and are for sale in the city. Congolese opposition leader Felix Tshisekedi rejected suggestions that he might do a deal with President Joseph Kabila. There is nothing like any dialogue for a prime ministerial post, he told the cheering crowd. The party elected me to be presidential candidate, so how can I be lowered to prime minister? Rather, let me be led to the final victory in the presidential election. My conclusions are the following. I met a fellow who met Kabila on every other day last year in Kinshasa. And he said Kabila is infinitely cleverer than all these opposition characters, and that he was expecting a Putin-Medvedev style rotation solution. And so far, Kabila has won his battle with the street. You remember that quote that I like: the revolutionary contingent attains its ideal form, not in the place of production, but in the street, where for a moment it stops being a cog in the technical machine, and itself becomes a motor, a machine of attack, in other words, a producer of speed. Congo's splintered opposition vows to defy repression and return to the streets, take the battle to the streets again. This is interesting, a video of the Binance meeting with the president of Uganda, Yoweri Museveni, who apparently is looking to promote Uganda as the crypto capital in Africa. South African all shares down 4.23% this year. Dollar versus Rand, we blew through 12. We didn't hold the 1210 area. We're up at 1237. I'm averaging down to try and get the average to about 1230. But I'm staying long the Rand. Nigerian all shares up 6.57% year to date. The Ghana Stock Exchange blowing the doors down. That's up 34.25% this year. Kenya, the slowdown was driven by the electioneering period, drought, and the slowed uptake of credit by the private sector. This is the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics Director General Zachary Mwangi. Kenya's economy expanded at the slowest pace since 2011 last year. GDP increased 4.9%, down from 5.85% in 2016. The slowdown was driven by electioneering, drought, and the slow uptake of credit in the private sector. Agricultural output suffered from dry weather that curbed food production, pushing consumer prices higher. Farming, which contributes almost a third of the nation's total output, grew by 1.6% in the year, KNBS said, after expanding 5.1% the previous year. Manufacturing growth was sluggish at 0.2%. Banks, services, financial services decelerated 3.1%. That's all to do with the rate cap. Tourism was a bright spot after growing almost 15%. The sector's earnings increased 20% to 119.9 billion shillings. We're not waiting for disruption, we've been disrupted. Have a look at the trends driving the new world of retail, that's KPMG. And this is something I touched on the 22nd of January when I said e-commerce and home-based deliveries have changed the world from London to China. I'm certain the same disruption is headed our way, that a lot of commercial real estate will become legacy assets. The millennials with their avocado eating and cryptocurrency trading ways are just as likely to be African as they are European or American. WPP Scan Group reported full-year earnings. Earnings per share expanded 7.143%, but contrast that expansion with a fall in full-year billings of 13.417%. Full-year profit before tax was down 4.065%. Full-year profit after tax up 3.815%. Earnings per share, as I said, up 7.143%. cash and cash equivalents position at the end of the year is 3.396 billion, which is evidently strong. And I think that's a material advantage. It's interesting that they squeezed an EPS gain of 7.143% versus a 13.417% decline in billings. I'm waiting for more granularity on geographical and vertical performance. It looks a fair price now. They also issued a press release regarding the proposed acquisition of Qatar TNS in Africa. Qatar TNS, they're saying, will enable WPP Scan Group to align the two market research businesses, their own, which is Millward Brown, with Qatar, leading to an enhanced service for clients and increased operational efficiency. Qatar TNS operates in Nigeria and Kenya, which are primary markets for WPP Scan Group, and other countries including Senegal, Cameroon, Cote d'Ivoire, and Ghana. Bharat said, he's the CEO, the proposed acquisition of Qatar TNS presents a tremendous opportunity for business growth and investment in markets such as in Nigeria and Kenya. The focus on research and data-driven operations perfectly fits our goal of providing horizontal, integrated communication services and products across the sub-Saharan African region. And there's also a public announcement they're going to issue 53,290,883 new ordinary shares to Russell Square Holding BV, and that will bump up WPP shareholding in WPP Scan Group from 50.1% to 56.25%. Kenya shilling is just above the 100 mark at 100.283. The Nairobi All Share, which is up 5.46% year to date, but has fallen 8.155% since hitting a record high on April 3rd. Kenya was the worst performing frontier market last week. Hopefully it will be better this week. The NSE 20 is around scratch. Vantage Capital on Wednesday night bought an 800 million shilling stake in the Roslyn Rivera shopping mall that sits on 4.5 acres. But bear in mind, you've got Village Market, you've got Roslyn, you've got Two Rivers, all in the very close vicinity. And let me leave you with one photograph from the Kakamega Devolution Conference. This photograph is by Jared Ombui of Kakamega Town, where I've never been, but I'd like to visit. Once again, thank you for stopping by.